Hey guys, Mr. Neese. Out camping, but I'm still thinking about you guys and what you need to know for your SEs. So, we're going to talk about another SE, and that is 11B. I'm going to read it to you. Identify significant social and political issues such as healthcare, immigration, and education from different viewpoints across political systems, across the political spectrum. Identify, and it goes on to list several different things, and I'm going to kind of talk to you about them very briefly and quickly, but they're pretty important. I don't know if there's a lot of questions on them on the test, though. So one of them's healthcare. So healthcare is a big issue politically and socially. Should everybody have access to healthcare? Should it be, subsidized through the government, meaning the government pays, which means we pay? And right now in our country, most people get their healthcare through whoever they work for. They either pay some or they don't have to pay. It's part of the benefit of working there. Those who don't work or work for them where that doesn't offer health care, then they don't have health care. So the question becomes, how do they get health care? How can they afford it? They can't afford it. These become big issues. Shouldn't everybody have access to this? Should everybody have reasonable access to it? That's the debate. So healthcare is a huge debate, and there's the flip side of those who say, I don't want you to force me to have to pay for it. So that is the debate with healthcare. Immigration. So immigration, we're very aware of it now. We talk about uh, illegal immigration, but it goes beyond that as well. Immigration has been a hot point for us for a long time, and as we've studied it across, we're dealing with after the Civil War. We're seeing, Italians be restricted on immigration. We see Chinese Exclusion Act, and it still goes on today. There's efforts to restrict people coming into this country, and it could be based on where they're from or what they look like. And it could be the fear of jobs, it could be the fear of losing the influence that you may have, or the loss of your culture. There's a lot of other things that can be debated. But we need immigrants in this country because it supports so much of our economy. There are jobs that we need them to do. So that is part of the debate going both directions. Education. So, as you guys should know, as you're getting closer, college education is going to be expensive. There's a lot of talk about loans and how expensive that is, and it's getting more and more expensive. And people not able to pay their loans back on their education. So, do we need to reform that? Education that you're getting right now, there's always the debate is it good enough? Are you getting what you should be getting? Are we competitive? And we need more money to do stuff, right? We need more money to pay teachers more to attract better teachers, to attract more teachers. But that costs money, so that's the big debate. Uh, Funding for social programs such as Medicare, food stamps, Social Security. Medicare is the insurance that you get to take from the government when you get at a retirement age. Food stamps, if you were in need and low income or out of job, you might get food stamps that you'd be able to buy some food from the government. Social Security is every time when you're working, you're going to pay a Social Security tax, and when you retire, you should be able to draw a monthly income from Social Security. You did not put it into a plan or an account. You're just paying for the people who are already retired. And when you retire, people will be paying to help support you. So these are very social programs coming since the Depression and FDR moving forward, our government getting more involved, and that's a huge debate. Should government be involved in these things and trying to help those in need or try to create safety nets? So that is a huge debate because a lot of the philosophy with this country is that government stays out of our business. But there's a lot of those who argue that who aren't going to say no to Social Security and Medicare when they get that opportunity. So that is another debate. Civil rights. Civil rights have been ongoing. We've discussed it quite a bit. The effort to give equal rights and protection to all people, regardless of race, color, religion, and even sexual orientation. And it's expanding even today from where it was considered, a big fight for maybe just race, 60 years ago. So civil rights is an ongoing effort, but also with that you see people push back or fall back from it, and you kind of wonder why shouldn't we all be treated equal? But sometimes there's an expense. Sometimes when you try to give somebody rights so that they can be equal, the freedom might be compromised from somebody else, or maybe they lost that right or opportunity, so somebody else can be propped up with that right. That can be a lengthy debate too. But you would think reasonably civil rights shouldn't be much of a debate. Election fraud. So, election fraud's a hot topic debate. Efforts to try to make sure people who vote are the people voting. Today, it's a very hot topic and it's a very political argument, and it's not a new argument. If we go back to the 20s and Tammany Hall and the corruption in politics that we talked about, there was voter fraud. Today, a lot of the voter fraud is very hard to prove. It makes sense that it could happen. But statistically or studies wise to say, okay, we got this 30% of the people voting or by mail are voting illegally. And we just don't have that kind of information. But when you do things like vote by mail, that may increase the risk of voter fraud. So environmental changes is another one. So what is our impact on the environment? We see, and I'm going to tie this with climate change, the warmth that's occurring, global warming, our influence on that. Is it from our, use of oil and gases, coal, beef, and the, methane gases cattle give off? Do we need to do more like solar power, wind power? You guys see the windmills all over the place. But that can be a hot topic debate, because if I say oil and I say beef, that's affecting jobs. If we're trying to do something to protect the environment and those things impact the environment, likely that impacts jobs as well. So those are some of the debates. Hopefully that helps you with 11B.